Hello, FunFacts Fam. First, sorry about the audio quality of this opening. I had to re-record it while at work and editing instead of doing it live because of a very, very exciting reason. We have 2 new patrons on Patreon. Thank you very much, Kavatica and Martin. You are both wonderful, perfect people who never accidentally leave your chapstick in your pants pocket and run it through the dryer. If you want to join the ranks of Kavatica and Martin, or other patrons, please go check out our Patreon, where you will get access to bonus content like unedited episodes, and even more than that, we will be putting up a preview up here very shortly of a brand new podcast that I'm working on. Hint, if you like audiobooks and classic literature, you will love this new project. An official date will be released and announced on all of our social media accounts, so keep an eye out and be sure you are following. Also, we have a TikTok, so please go check us out on there. Anyway, back we go to the show. Season 2, Episode 3, The Revenge Rounds. Welcome to Fun Facts with
Spencer.
Woohoo! All right, Spencer, what categories do you have for me?
All right, so today I've got 3 categories. There's space, which is about the space shuttle program. I've got Spencer, which is facts that are just generally up my particular area of interest. And then Potpourri, which is not the random generated one. It is actually about potpourri, like the smelly stuff. I had to do it. I feel like that was mandatory as a law. So
okay, all right. You know what? I know some about space stuff, and I may or may not have any assistance with what's inside of your brain. So let's start with the potpourri category.
all right, awesome. And yeah, so of course we got 3 facts and stuff like that. We're gonna figure out which are the 2 truths and which is the 1 lie. I don't know why I'm explaining this to you, but I feel like that's something you probably
Great. I'll let you do my job. It's fine.
I figure I might as well just reinforce that I remembered the rules when I made this. All right. Fact number 1. The word potpourri comes from the French word for a Spanish preservation method involving a dry, salty brine. Fact number 2. A common modern method of making natural potpourri is using steam distillation to obtain the essential oils to rescent the dried herbs and flowers. Or fact number 3. Potpourri refers to the dried mix of both plant matter and herbs, but it also refers to a decorative ceramic vessel made to hold potpourri.
I mean, I know nothing about potpourri except it's dried, smelly stuff. I mean, if I use my very limited knowledge of French, that sounds like something the French would have done. Is there a hint?
I mean, there is a hint. I don't remember the rules on hints and 50/50s, but yes, I do have a hint available.
It was 1 hint per category and the 50/50 per game.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I would like the hint, please.
I may have made the hints a little easy. Okay. A dried rose by any other name would smell as sweet. I wanted to go a little a little oh crap, why can't I think of his name? Shakespeare. A little Shakespeare on that one.
And it's also not that helpful. I think the most suspicious one is that the ceramic dish is also called the potpourri.
Okay. Okay.
Just because that doesn't sound right. I could just I think that the potpourri is the things you put into the ceramic dish, not the ceramic dish itself. However, the way potpourri is spelled, it does contain the word pot. So it could very well be referring to the container, and the pourri could be the shit you put in it.
Interesting. But if I may point out a very small aspect of the English language, there are also words that refer to both the dish and the thing in it, such as a casserole. I mean, so it could be real, could not. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, technically, the casserole is referring to the dish itself, not necessarily what you have put in it.
Oh, that is true. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I guess that little hint and tangent there didn't really help anybody, but you know.
What was the second one again?
The second one, a common modern method of making natural potpourri is using steam distillation to obtain the essential oils to rescent the dried herbs and flowers.
That also sounds incredibly suspicious because it's very difficult to steam distill something and then dehydrate it afterwards.
And I guess I'll just go ahead and give a tangent on that one as well, because that's fun to do. It is entirely possible. I haven't done a deep dive into these facts, just verified which ones are true and false. However, with steam distillation, it's possible they were doing it to a separate group that they actually put in there. Like they steam distilled it from some good live, wet, moist plants, and then had a separate group of plants that they dried for the process.
I mean, it's steam distilling is in general how you make essential oils. So that's not astonishing in any way. You made this category hard on purpose, didn't you?
I kind of did.
The revenge rounds have become the revenge rounds.
I guess I put too many angry eyebrows on my revenge word. That doesn't make sense. I don't know.
Oh, I'm gonna lose this. I'm sure I'm gonna lose this game. Wow.
That's surprising. Okay because the other hints are a little easier.
You know what? I'm gonna stick with the ceramic dish. That's what I'm gonna stick with. That's my final answer.
Okay. That is not the lie. Much like a casserole. Well, okay, I guess we kind of already debunked this, but what I wrote was much like a casserole. A potpourri was a Victorian-era piece of glazed pottery designed to dispense the sweet aromas of the flowers, herbs, and spices. But yeah, no, it actually referred to both the stuff on the inside and the thing itself. The lie itself was number one. Potpourri does not come from the French word for a Spanish preservation method involving a dry salt brine. I actually made that description up a little bit because that kind of sounded, or that was basically how potpourri had started. Basically, the word comes from the French word for a Spanish stew called olla podrida, which literally means rotten pot or powerful pot, which is a stew known for powerful flavors. It's typically made of assorted meats, either chickpeas or beans, and other flavorful veggies. And since we're going over the facts, number two, the common method, the steam distillation one. Although potpourri was originally cured with sea salt, a stronger, cheaper method became available using steam distillation to procure the essential oils. Most modern potpourri is a combination of any dried plant matter with either natural or synthetic dyes that do not necessarily match the original scent and color.
Yeah. You often get like really weird colored potpourri.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My grandma was big on having potpourri, and yeah, I got my feet wet or dried or whatever the saying is on potpourri from that. So.
Wow.
Well, alrighty.
Oh yeah.
You still got this. Would you like to do the Spencer or the space?
I think I should force you to admit your deepest, most inner thoughts after that one. So we're going with Spencer.
Oh, I don't know why. I thought you were just trying to admit to like my deepest, darkest secret on a podcast.
No,
Uh,
no.
okay. Well, never mind. I'll
I
just
mean, you
bottle that
can
up
if
for
you want. Like, that's
bottle
entirely
it
up
up
to
for
you.
My goodness. Oh boy. I wish I could say it like that I'm drunk or something right now. That's not accurate. I don't know. Uh, I don't know.
What are you drinking?
Oh, good question. Thank you. I am drinking sparkling white grape juice. You know, like an adult would do around like 1 o'clock on New Year's Day. Um, so I have 3 facts regarding just things that are generally neat or interesting to me.
So this is the actual potpourri category.
Yes, this is really potpourri, but it's potpourri inside my brain. uh, I'm not going to try to force a pun out of that. I'm just going to keep rolling. Fact number 1. Stanford University's marching band was booed out of the 2017 Alamo Bowl when their entire halftime routine was devoted to trash talking their opponent's home state of Texas. Fact number 2. The fuel efficiency per passenger of a full Airbus A380 is only about half as good as if each of the passengers drove a separate car. Fact number 3. It's possible to become addicted to telling puns.
I mean, whether or not fact number 3 is actually the lie, it is technically true depending on whether or not you have ADHD or some other dopamine deficiency, because telling puns can give you a dopamine rush, which means that you can become addicted to it. However, it also means that if the puns aren't getting the reaction that you want, you will very quickly become not addicted to it. Which is why a lot of people think puns are terrible, is because adults gave them bad reactions when they told puns as kids. And so they're like, oh, I guess puns aren't funny because they don't get the dopamine rush from it. Whereas me, I revel in people groaning
Yes.
at the puns.
I do quite as well. Yes. Excellent.
I know nothing about sports or marching bands. But that sounds hilarious and probably could be true. But also, like, that's really poorly thought out. Don't go to someone's home state and then make fun of them if it is true.
It was the Alamo, I can say, is a bowl game played in Texas, I believe San Antonio. And so it would be very bold of Stanford to go and make fun of Texas in Texas.
Right.
And when there is a Texas team. Yeah, it'd be bold.
Why am I just blanking on the middle one for some reason? That's just going to happen.
The middle one, the fuel efficiency per passenger of a full Airbus A380 is nearly half as good as if each passenger drove a separate car. So to basically rephrase that to where it actually makes a little more sense, the amount of fuel an Airbus A380 burns, if it's full and you figure out like, okay, well, like, you know, it's this many miles per gallon times this many passengers. Okay, the fuel efficiency there is, it's only about half as good as if like every single other person was driving a car and using that many miles to the gallon.
So it takes up the same amount of fuel is double the amount of cars everybody's driving?
Yeah. If everybody was driving separate cars, twice that distance or twice that amount of fuel is how much an Airbus A380 burns through.
Wow. I don't imagine that's true depending on the distance that the plane is traveling. Because if you have to drive through Ohio, you will have to stop and get gas at least 4 times. Even though Ohio is not that big of a state, for some reason, it just eats gas and takes 30 hours to get through.
Those are big facts.
So I feel like a plane, even though it's a plane, fully loaded, would get slightly better gas mileage over Ohio. So I'm gonna go with that's the lie.
All right, and by any chance, before you fully commit, do you want to hear the hint?
Yes.
Okay, I'm excited because I wrote a lot of hints. I wrote 3 hints, one for each category. Anyway, which fact is the lie? I guess that's still in the air.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with the one that I have. Yeah.
That's a good plan. That was the lie. In fact, the exact opposite is true. In most cases, an airplane with even half capacity is better than each of those passengers taking a separate vehicle. For example, an Airbus A380 gets about 75 miles per gallon per passenger when it's fully loaded. So even if it was like at a third capacity, assuming it burns the same amount of fuel, the plane would outperform the passengers each driving a 2010 Nissan Sentra on the highway. I use that car for reference because that is my car.
Nice.
For reference, a typical full commuter flight, such as like a Delta flight from Chicago to Kalamazoo on a Bombardier CRJ 200, which is a really typical aircraft, that one gets about 44 miles per gallon per passenger, which I think is kind of neat.
Nice. Yeah, I literally, do you like how I used Ohio to get to there?
I love it personally because I am I may or may not hate Ohio, so yeah, it works great for me.
Yeah, the title of one of my memoirs eventually will be "Ohio is Forever."
I would just
Meaning
call
that it just goes and goes and doesn't end.
Oh yeah, yes. So I'm gonna just skip to the pun one because you were absolutely on the right track, but this is false for a very different reason as well. There have been multiple cases of a rare mental disorder. It's a German word that I'm going to struggle to pronounce, so here we go. It's called Witzelsucht, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. Anyway, in this mental disorder, the person going through it is unable to stop telling puns and other similar bad jokes. In each case noted, there was some sort of brain trauma, such as a stroke, or it occurred during brain surgery. According to neurologist Mario Mendez at the University of California at Los Angeles, telling puns release a light dopamine kick as the person's brain is picking apart its own pun. So the brain's afflicted with this disorder that I'm not going to try to say again. It's basically getting high off its own supply.
Yep.
And the marching band thing is absolutely true.
Why?
Texas may deserve some criticism, but Stanford's band is very well known for hijinks to infuriate their opponents. However, Stanford stepped on some toes when they took on Texas Christian University in the 2017 Alamo Bowl. The enthusiastic announcer for the Leland Stanford Junior University Marching Band, or LSJUMB, which rolls right off the tongue, announced, quote, definitely not made up facts, including snide remarks about how humble they are, the size of Texas, the cost of the border wall, Whataburger, the wildlife, and the perceived war on Christmas. Meanwhile, the band, which is technically a scatter band, which means they don't actually march into place, they literally run to spell out letters. They spelled out the words fake news Tex, only in Tex, PC Xmas. Their halftime show was 5 minutes long. The boos started at 2 minutes long and continued all the way through. And once they were done, they received almost a standing ovation of boos, a standing boovation, if you will.
Why? Why? That's just how you get your entire band shot. Like,
They do that to almost every opponent. Anytime the band's there, they try to make fun of the opponent.
okay, but two things. One, do it in your own home state and on your own home turf, because that's amazing. And you've got the home field advantage, which makes it easier to do. If you're doing it in someone else's turf, that's disrespectful, which, you know, and you probably will end up booed off the field.
Oh, yeah.
Two, there's a lot of fucking guns in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I would not do anything like that if I wanted to live.
It's absolute brass meaty clackers to be doing that.
Like, biggest balls and chesticles on the ladies to be able to do that. Like, that's like hardcore.
Yeah. So there is absolutely a link to a couple different like YouTube videos of that halftime show. And it is pretty entertaining because like the band doesn't actually play much anything. It's mostly the announcer just like sitting there and going on like a 5-minute rant about Texas.
Nice.
It's a fun watch. It's a fun watch.
Instead of whatever you were going to send me as the source for that one, send me just a link to that YouTube video.
It's in the source notes.
Good.
I got you.
Good. That's great. That's what I need. That's what my listeners need, especially the one listener in Norway.
If you're not from America, I mean, you probably heard of Texas because if you think of the United States, it's usually you're thinking of people from Texas, and you're not wrong. The stereotypes about Texas are 100% accurate, and boy howdy is it a lovely, colorful wasteland of egos.
Yeah.
Anyway, yes.
Oh goodness. All right.
That brings us to the last category, space, which I spelled with 3 A's. Which is also about the space shuttle program, because that's fun. That's neat. So again, 3 facts, finding the lie. Fact number, and also I'm gonna warn you, some of these, like, because they're like really sciencey words and stuff like that, I like some of the facts are a little long. So I mean, please feel free to ask any clarifying questions and stuff like that. Yeah, I'll just try not to give the answer away.
Okay.
Fact number 1, if a space shuttle had to abort takeoff in the first stage of takeoff, which is like an engine failure before it launches the big orange solid rocket booster, the crew would perform a special abort where they try to return to the launch site. The crew would keep flying to burn or purge like 98% of the propellant, perform a backflip, and attempt to land back at the Kennedy Space Center. I mean, right side up, obviously. Fact number 2, the orbiter, which is what most people think of as the space shuttle, it's the part that looks like an airplane. The orbiter's thrusters are locked on when it's in atmospheric reentry until landing to prevent pilots from passing out because of the high G-forces. So the shuttle pilots have to train on a trijet, which is like an actual airplane with 3 engines. And they leave the engine set to like 80 or 90% power to practice a controlled descent with so much forward thrust. And fact number 3, because conditions for re-entry are often so difficult to fully predict, there have been 58 designated international landing sites, 85 domestic landing sites, it's a ton of them, as well as they can land on any runway at least 3 kilometers long. However, shuttles have only ever landed at 3 locations, and each of them are in the US. I know those are all really, really long. Yeah, obviously feel free to have me repeat or anything like that.
I'm just the first one just sounds impossible. I mean, it definitely sounds like something the government would try to make happen. Please don't wreck our spaceship. But also,
it's the space equivalent of the word fetch.
yeah,
It happen.
it's not great. What is the hint on this category?
The hint: 80 to 90% of statistics are made up, because one of them had the number 80 to 90%. I thought that would help a little, which I can reread them if that helps.
I'm pretty sure it's the second one then.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, we'll go with the second one.
Those were really long. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
Correct. The second one is a lie. The orbiter, which again, that's the part we consider the shuttle. It's the airplane-y part, that really iconic look. They do have 3 main engines to assist in takeoff. They have 2 orbital maneuvering system thrusters to guide it in space, and 3 generators, but no atmospheric thrusters for entry control. It actually comes in on no power. It's just however fast it was going in orbit, it's flying through with no extra thrust. To simulate the glide, the shuttle pilots are put in a Gulfstream G2 airplane with the controls replaced with shuttle controls and the onboard computer reprogrammed to mimic the shuttle. They practice landing by coming to an even hover 12 feet above the tarmac to simulate the eye level in a shuttle. And once they successfully completed the quote unquote landing 12 feet above the runway, the trainer takes control with actual flight controls and lands the plane itself. Yeah, real weird.
That is very strange.
Then on fact 3, which there's a ton of international landing sites, a bunch of domestic landing sites, and pretty much any runway. That's 3 kilometers long, which is almost 2 miles long. Although conditions sometimes come up that might delay a landing, pilots have more than enough time outside of emergencies to land at the correct airfield. The U.S. has agreements with several landing sites to be prepared for a landing during the re-entry window, but only 2 sites would have personnel on standby at a time to prepare to receive an emergency landing. In addition to successful landings at the preferred landing site, no crash landings have been recorded. The only 2 losses were from a single faulty launch and a single faulty re-entry over 135 total flights.
Nice.
Which I mean, considering they're basically putting directional bombs into space, that's pretty good in my opinion.
Yeah.
Fact number 1, the one that seems impossible, that is actually true. So if they start the RTLS abort, which means a return to launch site abort, they try to purge or burn 98% of the propellant. They perform a backflip, and then they purge or burn even more fuel and jettison any equipment that would keep them from landing safely. And then try to land at the Kennedy Space Center right side up. It's described as an unnatural act of physics and is both the most difficult and dangerous of the abort modes. Although it has never been performed in actuality, and most likely never would, because the parameters that would cause a failure to let them do that are never survivable. Or rarely survivable. So, but it's still an abort mode that's in the NASA playbook.
Wow. That's
pretty absurd.
that is difficult.
Yeah, because they're going fast with a lot of forces pushing them in a specific direction. For them to sit there and just not only keep going with a failed engine, but then steer themselves back, do a backflip, and this, that, and the other thing, and survive is just insane.
Yeah.
But apparently that's something they have to practice and plan for, because they might do it someday.
That's just astonishing.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Well, I did get 2 correct.
You absolutely won.
Wow, I'm surprised. Thank you. You were were difficult. That's
I'm flattered that I was so difficult. Oh wait. No, I'm glad I had the opportunity to come back. That was exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm astonished. I think that my facts are hard or difficult. That put me through the ringer.
Yeah, I was trying to make it a little tough, and
You did, yeah.
Sweet. All right.
Yeah. Well, I never thought I would be beaten by a household cat expert, but
Well, to be fair, I'm not an expert on household cats. I'm just the expert of cats in my household. So I mean,
I'm aware.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for being on the show again and for pulling out these very astonishing and difficult facts. I'm sure that like every little old lady who knows how to listen to a podcast, who's heard my podcast, which is probably none.
I mean, I listen to it.
Yeah, but you're not a little old lady.
That's fair.
Will tear me apart for not knowing my potpourri. Like I'm surprised I manufactured through that one.
Well, that's an absolute blast. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So prepare yourself because I will remember this.
So I have to be prepared for Fun Facts with Spencer 3. This time it's personal or whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Or Electric Boogaloo. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, you brought the hard. I'm gonna bring the hard.
All right.
I got some facts that I've been waiting to use for people. But I've been too nice so far. But you made this nice and difficult. So
no. What have I done?
This show is recorded, produced, directed, and edited by Connor J. Cassidy, with music by Sounds Like Sanders. Our podcast is hosted on podserve.fm, and our music was found via soundstripe.com. Please follow us on all social media at FunFactsWith, and if you like the show, consider supporting us on Patreon. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, have a nice day.